Hey guys, Dave here. I have Transylvania from Mayfair Games. The reason I picked this up is because I have a reputation for having strange and unusual games on both this channel and my website. So I figured I'd get this. This is from, I believe, 1981. I got it used, so this isn't really an unboxing. It's more of a look through. But the first thing I noticed is they spelled Transylvania wrong on the front cover here. It's spelled right in the rule book though, so I mean that's kind of I mean that's not good to misspell the name of your own game on the cover. So anyhow, let's take a look at the blurb. The village and the surrounding countryside have for years been ravaged by night and by day. Finally, the villagers confront their nemesis for control of Transylvania. With the knights, men-at-arms, clerics, and peasants arrayed against the vampires, bats, skeletons, wolves, and rats, the outcome is in doubt until the bloody end. Can you command the forces of evil to ultimate victory, or will the forces of good prevail? One thing cool, I didn't know back then Mayfair Games was located in Chicago. I live in the Chicagoland area, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if they're still here. I'd imagine they probably moved somewhere else, but who knows, maybe they still are. But let's take a look inside. Before I ordered this, I had the owner of the game count the counters to make sure all 63 were there. So here's the counters here. These are really thin, and there's not much artwork on them and stuff, which is normal for the 1980s, but these may be the type where you had to cut them out, because I don't see any chafs on them or anything, so I'm wondering if they just came with like a cardboard sheet and you just cut them out with the scissors, but I'm not really sure. So, it came with these. Let me zoom in. These are errata for Richard I the Lionheart. It's a game by Mayfair Games back then, another micro game. I guess there's a few errors in it or something. So anyhow, so if you bought that game, it included the errata for it in here too. Here's a rule book. Let me show you what's interesting about this. This is like one-page bulge from Steve Jackson Games, and that the entire game is just one sheet of paper. Let me show you what I mean. Here's the map, but it's all just one, I guess you would call it a poster piece here. But let's take a look at the map while we're here. Map's got all these little areas with trees. You got a town here, you got a castle, and at the time, it shows the time, I guess one phase is built, and then morning, which is part of the day, afternoon, part of the day, and night. And your build points are recorded on the top. And village, 3 knights, 4 men-at-arms, 7 peasants, and 2 clerics. I wonder if that's like for setup or something. Oh, and then there's an actual setup section here. This seems to show where all the bad guys go when you set it up. And on the bottom here, it has costs for knights, men-at-arms, clerics, and peasants. And at the other side of the board, it has costs for the monsters, the vampires, skeletons, wolves, bats, and rats. So that's pretty interesting. And see here, they spelled, let me show you, they spelled Transylvania wrong again. Alright, so let's zoom to the top here. Here they've spelled Transylvania correctly, so whoever did the editing for the outside of the game and the map may have been different who did it for the book, because the guy who did the book seems to have spelled it correctly. But anyhow, looks like the book starts with a table of contents, and in it there's an introduction, game components, and the setup, and then let's go over the sequence of play. This is all just one page worth of rules, so this should be very simple to learn. So you start with production. Both players determine their build point total, and then both players may then build units and place them on the board. And then you have the morning turn, where there's villager movement, combat, day creature movement, and combat again. And then the afternoon turn, you repeat the phases of A through D, so basically the same as the morning turn. And then there's a night turn, and now the night creatures have movement, and you have combat. And vampires fly back to the castle, so it looks like there's quite a bit of combat per turn, so that should be fun. And the bottom here we have the production phase. And at the top, build new units, movement, and combat. And at the bottom we have the victory conditions. So the victory conditions are: the villagers win by having units in the castle at the end of either the morning turn or the afternoon turn. So it looks like if they're in there at the end of the evening turn, it doesn't matter, so that's interesting. And then the creatures win by having units in the village at the end of the morning, afternoon, or night turns. So, and then a village is considered occupied if the last occupying unit was a vampire. So the bad guys, if they occupy a village either in the morning, afternoon, or night, they win. And the good guys, they have to occupy the castle only in the morning or the night. So, looks like that's the basic victory conditions. Looks like the designer is Neil Zimmer, and cover art is Lois Griffin. Playtesting, Mayfair Wargamers. Anyhow, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please click like on the video, and please subscribe to this channel, and have a good evening. Thanks.